What up, what up, what up, world? It's your boy Jaystar back again, man, with the full strategy show, man, for the week 14 slate, y'all. So we're gonna get into this one as we always do. I think I missed out last week on giving y'all injury reports, I believe. And I'm gonna get right to that this week. Because it looks like we got the Giants game. Looks like Adoree Jackson is gonna be out for cornerback. So I mean, seems like that does well for AJ Brown, Devontae Smith, things like that. Ravens looks like slot cornerback is going to be out in Worley. And then on the Bucks game, all the safeties are still out. So backup safeties and still questionable for the slot cornerback there. So we don't know for sure if he's going to be able to play or not. But questionable there. He probably is going to end up playing though. The Texans cornerback Stingley, the rookie that they drafted, in the first round, he's going to be out for wide out. So possibly, that opens up, I would say, potentially, who's that? Who am I missing over there? Gallup, so Gallup probably has a pretty decent game if he gets targets over there because he should be going against probably, I think, another rookie still and just not as good as Stingley, not a first round pick. Looks like Dallas also has cornerback Anthony Brown is going to be out. So that's the other side of Diggs. But there's no receivers. A lot of injuries to receivers for the Texans this week. It looks like we have Cooks is out and as well as Collins. So they only really have Moore, and he's a slot cornerback. I mean, receiver, my bad, slot receiver. I don't really know who they have after that to go to. The Lions, it looks like Chase Lucas is out for a cornerback there. But I believe he was just a backup for, I want to say, in the slot cornerback there. So the other cornerbacks are all there. And they're basically all the starting cornerbacks is there. He's just a slot corner. I believe that's going to be out backup there. So no depth, I guess you can say, for the Lions. I know two of their old linemen is out. So I don't know if that's going to cause any problems to, what I want to say, to, what's the name? Golf having time in the pocket, and things like that. But it could cause some problems there because two of his O-line is out. Then the Titans got a lot of injuries there, man. Cornerback Fulton is still out, and Avery is out, which that's their slot cornerback is out. So basically, Zay Jones and things like that, if he's really going to be able to go and fully healthy and stuff, bodes well for him with going against, the wideout. And then maybe even if he can't go, then like a Marvin Jones maybe comes into play a little bit there for value. And then Avery being out, slot cornerback is out. So Kirk is, already, I know he was pretty chalk and on and things like that. So he looks like it's going to be out there too as well. So we're going to get into the slate though. Once again, kind of went over a lot of stuff already in my first look at this. So basically now it's kind of trying to take advantage of, the cornerbacks and injuries and stuff like that. For the first game, the Cleveland and Cincinnati game here, looks like, I mean, with Deshaun Watson, you really don't know what to expect here, man. He could, start throwing the ball, air it out a little bit more than usual. This could possibly turn out to be a random shootout. We really don't know, man. Like, I think he has, let's see, I know somebody was hurt. Amari Cooper was questionable going into this game. And we still looks like Bell is able to go now. So this, could be a crazy game. I mean, this is a team that, Deshaun Watson is going to have to go against, for the future. So this could show some fireworks here, or just could just be a tough battle like we normally have seen it to be, because both of these teams, both defense wise, 6th in completion percent. For the Browns, is basically they're really tough to complete passes against, and second for the Bengals in completion percent. So very tough to complete passes here, man. You're gonna have to kind of do things you're not used to really doing. I feel like, and of course going to your best players if anything. Like I think Chase and Higgins are always in play. I would probably think Chase is probably the better play here. It should be Cooper, but he doesn't show up on the road. I would look at, even somebody like a Bell and Peoples-Jones for sure. It seems like Peoples-Jones tends to show up every time they're on the road, at least, for a decent amount of fantasy points there. But besides that, I just feel like the run game is where it's at here. That's where the most of the fantasy points have been given up. We're looking at 30-something fantasy points there for the Browns have given up. So I like Mixon, even though he's coming back from concussion, but was able to take, I think, 2 weeks off. So think it was like, yeah, about 2 weeks off there. So I think he's ready to go. And in this home, home back, rivalry and everything, I guess they've been running very well, period, for the Bengals. So I think that's where the fantasy points will be at there. Besides that, I don't think I really want much there. Like I said, completion percentage is so tough. It's like, you just lean on the ground game. Here we have the Buffalo and the Jets. So it's another game where completion percentage is really low. But nowhere near like top 10, at least. Not top 10, but the Jets were 11th in completion percent. The Bills are 16th in completion percent. So they are giving up things, like I would say, passing, something in the past, at least. But I know it's very tough to pass on the Jets. They do give up rushing touchdowns, though. So there could be a back here that gets into the goal line maybe multiple times, since Buffalo is a team that does score, a lot. So I definitely think, I would say Singletary, could be in play, but also even for 4,600 down here, James Cook, man, I think is in play maybe for a goal line touchdown, and he has a speed to at least break something big, at least possibly get maybe 60, 80 yards in this game and a touchdown. That's pretty decent work, I think, and probably could catch something. He was pass catching a lot the last game from what I remember. Yeah, 6 in the last 2 games, period, 5 and 6. And like I said, runs like a 4.40 and something. So like has the speed, man. I feel like if it was gonna be a score for for a running back there, I think it's gonna be James Cook. Is gonna probably get that. Probably be a tough game for Diggs. But we do know the targets are always going to be there. If he hits early, could end up having a big game still. But I would rather probably, in receiver wise in this game, I would rather just go ahead with the 5,900 here and take Garrett Wilson. 8 to 15 targets, for the last 2 games. Has 16th in completion percent isn't as great, so I feel like, and we've seen Buffalo get thrown on, especially if you're staying away from Tre'Davious White, like you're gonna have the opportunity to really go off still. So we've seen them I want to say for the past about 3 weeks, ever since Jefferson went off on them, almost has been a receiver going against them that's done really good. So I definitely think that's where the fantasy points on that side of the field is. It's going to be the Jets and looking at Garrett Wilson. I don't really know if I would stack, White this week. I feel like it might be pretty tough. I just don't see what else on the team is he going to be able to pass the ball to other than Garrett Wilson. Like if anybody, I think it could be Conklin. It's possibly Conklin for 3,100. Maybe that stack maybe comes through. He did have 7 targets. And the last time he played them, he only had 2 targets and only had 1.7. So, like I said, completion percent is kind of tough there. So, and it's not really like they giving up a crazy amount of yards, but they are giving up at least for one receiver to go off. And that's why I think it's going to be like Garrett Wilson there, run back with a running back at least probably. And if not, you want to try to take the shot at, Diggs coming through since he does get the targets. Possibly could happen there. But then the next game here, we got Dallas and Houston. This game right here is going to be crazy to me because Houston doesn't have anybody. Kind of feel like this is setting up for a blowout for Dallas, and that's it kind of puts you in like a 2 scenario type of thing where this can go. Like it's out of Dallas blows them out and Dak has a greatest game ever. Because it is possible. Like you can't just think of every scenario of them blowing out that they're a run team, but they do still pass the ball. Like they still do pass the ball, and if Dak is still gonna pass the ball, what is he throwing? 30 attempts at least. Like possibly the 3 touchdowns just the last game in 30 attempts, and that's what I'm saying. Like you never know what's going to happen here. He could rush in a touchdown too. They put up 40-something points this game. I mean, goodness gracious, they've done it already plus 43 times. Like, that's crazy. So, being that their defense is going to probably be able to get the ball back multiple times here for Dak to score, I think this could possibly be a tournament play here to stack Dak. Like I said, they already have an injury out wide at cornerback, so Gallup is in play and Lamb is still in play too. It's just that if they're going to get the ball multiple times and get good field position possibly too, like you cannot just think that they're only going to run the ball every time to score. So yes, Pollard, Zeke, and all of them is in play, and when they get up huge, they're going to lean to the run late and stuff like that. But early in the game, if they get 3 touchdowns early, that don't mean that Dak didn't throw none of them, So I definitely feel like he's in play for that reason. Besides that, There's nothing else on the other side I want to run back or anything, but we already know Pollard and all that is all good plays. Even though Houston is really good at completion percent, they're very high up there. I want to say, where are they at? I think they're top 10. Yeah, eighth in completion percent. So it's very hard to pass the ball, but they do have an injury out wide at cornerback. So he can take shots over there. Once they establish the run, like we all feel like I'm sure that they're going to be able to do in this game. And I know he'll be able to play action, take some deep shots at Gallup or Lamb, and they can hit, and Dak could end up throwing 3 touchdowns in this game. So and possibly be the best quarterback because of the fact he gets the ball over and over. So then we have, one of the greatest games, of course, on the slate with the Minnesota and Detroit game. Possibly, a huge shootout here. The thing is, though, I will say is I think it's Detroit. Let me just make sure with my notes, y'all, real quick. Because I do know for sure that the Vikings is a team, completion percent is very high. Like, they give up, crazy good completion percent, almost the worst in the league. So they're second to the Raiders, and the Raiders is the first worst team in the league when it comes to completion percent. So second worst is the Vikings. Where they give up the most though is the yards, man. So I would tend to try to find, players I would say that you think is going to get the ball the most, on Detroit, because they give up crazy yards. So like if you think of anybody, if it's St. Brown, if you think it's, Swift gets involved in the passing, things like that, or even Chark down here at 4,300. It's all about who's going to get these targets, because like the yards is going to be there. Where the Vikings is actually good defensively is stopping you from actually scoring. But we do know Detroit scores a lot more points when they're at home. So I think it's going to, and they're really a high percent of scoring when they get into the red zone too, when they're at home. So somebody's, it's like a bend and break type of thing. Somebody's got to break here, and I kind of feel like, Detroit will be able to score the ball. So getting people that that's going to get, targets with yards, things like that, you kind of want to get those people because they more than likely probably also will score. I think stacking Goff this week is probably a great, quarterback to go with. But also on the other side here, the Vikings, they're going against an 18th in completion percent. So mid tier, but kind of closer to, some of the worst teams, at least when it comes to completion percent. But in yards, that's kind of where they kind of give up some yards there for the Detroit Lions. But they're really good at stopping you in the red zone and things like that. So not a lot of scoring happens there. It's kind of I would say you kind of almost have to rush it in or go to some of your best players to actually score the ball. So that's why it looks like, Hawkinson is going to be probably one of the best plays. Since completion percent is kind of mid, I feel like they will put, their best effort to trying to stop Jefferson, but we already know they give up so many points in the tight ends because that's where they're not, putting their best effort to stopping. So, and then it's the fact that Minnesota best player, besides Jefferson would be Hawkinson. So I would say, they go to Hawkinson a lot this game. He performs really well, great fantasy points for him. I think he also gets into the end zone probably multiple times here. So great run back option. I also do think though Cousins is in play, because I feel that if they're going to put so much effort in trying to stop Jefferson, he's going to just be able to go to Hawkinson, maybe dump it off to Cook, as well as go to Thielen. Thielen had a decent game last time they played each other too. If you go look at here, I think he put about 18 points. So if you go to Thielen here, it looks like the 18-point game right here was 28-24. Like, I'm just saying, like, I could see him doing that or possibly 20 points. Like I said, their whole focus will be to try to stop Jefferson. I don't think they will completely stop Jefferson. I think he will catch, a few catches on them for sure, and he's going to get the target. So he can definitely hit as well, but I just know it'll be an easier matchup for Hawkinson, for Thielen. So I do say those probably are the good plays to probably stack with Cousins if you're doing a Cousins stack there. Besides that, like I said, that whole game is just a great game, period. Like, I don't really mind which quarterback you go with. In this game here, the Philly and the Giants game, we saw an injury, to Saquon Barkley. We don't know if he's even going to be able to play. If he doesn't play, man, this is the same type of scenario then could happen here that I feel that I just went over with Dak. Because Eagles defense could be very in play if Saquon is not there. They already don't have a lot of weapons to even throw the ball to anyways. And what you want to do against Philly anyways is run the ball. And so if you don't have Saquon, it's like what kind of run game you're going to have. You're going to throw against Philly's, cornerbacks, backfield and stuff like that. It's too strong. So what I think that would lead to is some interceptions. Maybe, Daniel Jones had a problem before with fumbling and getting sacked, things like that. So that just sounds like, the Eagles defense strong play, as well as though Sanders could be a good play at running back. If that's the case, if their defense is playing that strong and they're getting good field position, I don't see why Sanders doesn't run in a touchdown, possibly get near 100 yards against the Giants. They already give up a lot of yards anyways. So it just feels like it'd be the opposite of, taking, the home running back here. Sanders could be a good play. But also I did mention too that there was an injury at cornerback, right? Who was that for the Giants had Dory Jackson. So yeah, it also makes me think though that AJ Brown, Devontae Smith, as well with Hurts, man, could be a stack possible because they could get the ball back multiple times if somehow Saquon isn't able to play, and I just feel like they're gonna put it on them if they do. It's like they don't have Goddard, so it's kind of a funnel, where the targets are going to now without Goddard is AJ and Devontae Smith. So somebody's going to benefit to me from having a cornerback out there. And if you're telling me they're getting the ball multiple times, their quarterback actually rushes too. So could steal some of the touchdowns as well from Sanders. But if they get up big, Sanders could be running a lot later, So definitely feel like that side of the game has some fantasy points that could happen. Let's go. So the next game we have here is Baltimore and Pittsburgh. This is, sneaky game because I feel that both of these quarterbacks actually are in great position here for this Baltimore game. A lot of fantasy points can be given up to, for throwing the ball. If you throw the ball here, it's just that we know Huntley kind of runs a little bit. Also had a problem before, and I think he still kind of has that problem with turning over the ball still, but both of these defenses backfields gives up, passing. Like, so if you just throw the ball, like, you definitely have a chance of scoring touchdowns here. I believe both of these teams, let me see, percents for like touchdowns here. Is it high? It looks like it's high for, Steelers side is definitely, and yards there for their receivers. As well as the Ravens side, it's both like yards and the touchdowns. Like, it's not hard to score on these two teams. I would say completion percent though wise, the better quarterback when it comes to completion percent would be Pickett, because the 23rd in completion percent is what the Pittsburgh Steelers are, and compared to 6th or 7th in completion percent with the Steelers. The Steelers defense is really giving up. So, but both of these teams still allow a lot of fantasy points to receivers. So it's just that there's definitely some plays here I think can happen, and they don't really cost a lot here. Like, you got Deontay Johnson 5,100, Pickens for 5,000. He was pissed off last week for not getting targets, and we've seen in the past when receivers complained, like a AB, when they was on Pittsburgh, when they complained so much, they had crazy targets the next week. But that was when it was Roethlisberger, and he made sure, AB had 17 crazy targets the next week if he was complaining like that. I don't know for sure we're going to get that with Pickett, but if so, Pickens is in play because we do know they give up fantasy points here. So for $5,000, I don't mind taking shots there. Demarcus Robinson, I don't mind taking shots. Deshaun Jackson, I mean, that's a dark play there for 3,400. There is another 3,400 play I feel like that might be better than Deshaun Jackson, just because we know Deshaun, I think, what did he have last week? Just 3 targets. Like, 3 targets, it's going to be hard. He has to hit on all 3 of them, because their yards and all that is there. But DeMarcus Robinson, on the other hand, coming off of 8 targets, like, I would rather take a shot there. Like 8 targets, catches 7 this week against a team that we've seen get, exploited, like explosion amount of fantasy points to receivers. I like that. I also think Andrews is in play because we know his targets is still going to be there. Even when Huntley has been there, he's thrown to Andrews like ridiculously. So that's still going to be in play for a huge game there for him. Besides that, like, I don't think there's anything running backs. I do know Dobbins is supposed to be back, I believe. Let me just make sure. Where is he at? How cheap is he? Because I did hear something about him coming back. Wait. Oh, so he didn't get activated yet? Second week of practice. Okay, so he probably is going to return. So that's going to be, got to keep an eye on that $4,000, man. That's going to be crazy. But yeah, so besides that, I don't really think I want the running backs. I know it's going to be a harder matchup for running the ball on those 2 games, period, because those teams play really good against the run. But then we got this Jacksonville, Tennessee game right here, man. Really good game for at least, I know everybody's going to probably have Trevor Lawrence, even with the questionable and stuff like that, coming off of what I want to say, like his best, what's that, about 3-4 games, no interceptions, finally, he was throwing a lot of picks and stuff like that earlier. But yeah, coming off of like at least his best 4 games, and has a really good matchup when I told y'all about the cornerbacks being out in this game. So it benefits him a lot for his best target, slot cornerback, being out, and his best target is Kirk in the slot. And then as well as Zay Jones out wide. You got an out wide cornerback out, which we've seen every time Tennessee's had injuries, man, to cornerbacks, the receiver goes off, man. Whoever's the main receiver goes off against them. So I just see Kirk definitely being a good play, but I also think, Zay Jones or somebody out wide out here, has a shot with Marvin Jones. We just got to see if Zay Jones is going to be playing. If not, then Marvin Jones comes into play more to me. And as well as I do like tight end Evan Ingram. If he could just get the targets, it's inconsistent because, like I told y'all before, like he goes from 1 target to 7, 2 to 4, like 6, 7, 6, then 2, like it's crazy. So, like that's the only thing. But a double stack there with Evan Ingram with Kirk, man, doesn't sound like a bad play, man. With Trevor Lawrence, maybe people won't be as heavily on Trevor Lawrence since he does has a questionable tag there. On the other side there, yes, Tannehill, man. Could have been a good play, I think, if, Treylon Burks wasn't going to be out. As y'all see, he's out. So I think that changed a lot of things because Woods has gotten targets and it just hasn't done anything with him. Like 7-7, 6-5, and you're looking at the points like 3-3-1, 12, like just not getting it done, man. And we do know Westbrook-Ikini had one good game, right here, 31 fantasy points against Denver. I don't know what really happened in that game other than I feel that a run team went in, to a game and they went in actually passing the ball and it threw off Denver. Like that's all I can think of. And that's why Westbrook, was able to do as good as he did. So who I do like though in the pass here from this game, because we do know you can attack Jacksonville's defense, is I like the Okongwu right down here, right? 2,700. I think he's a good play, man. His targets have been consistent at least for the last 2 weeks. Yards is decent. Like I feel like he could probably get a touchdown for 2,700 in this game, as well as I do think Henry is actually a good spot. 7,900. I think is one of the cheapest we've seen him be priced at since week 2 at 7,800. He didn't come through, of course, that week, but yeah, I mean he hasn't come through. For the last, I want to say what. 1 out of the 4 weeks. So it's about time. I feel like at home, great spot. He usually plays pretty good against his division, has really good games against Jacksonville, Houston, usually does it good at least one game against the Colts. So like I said, usually comes through against the, his division. And it feels like as of lately, they've been throwing the ball for the last 2 games. Instead of running as hard, like his attempts have been low. But if he goes back to 20-something plus attempts, he's probably going off in this game. So definitely feel like he's in play there. Let's see. Next game we have here is Kansas City and Denver. Man, it just feels that to me for this type of game right here. Pat Mahomes usually shows up when he goes on the road against his division. So it's like Wilson, I don't know what to say because, all the stats and stuff, like my notes and stuff just shows that Wilson's supposed to have a great game, but like we know he ain't been cooking anything. So it's so hard to pick him. And it's so crazy because if you think about it, like his stack is so cheap. Like you could take, Judy, Hinton down here, which is one of the best plays I would say for value, like for sure. But Hinton down here, and then as well as Greg Dulcich, which is one of the chalk tight ends this week for sure. But even if you was taking 2 of these to run with Wilson, like you could literally have a stack almost under $10,000, man. You can get so much stuff with this. So like this is like one of the most craziest, like very crazy tournament stacks, but it is very low. And I just think like if somehow Russell does hit, like more than likely then Hinton and Dulcich probably hits with him, really. Like as well as like it's not to say that 5,400 here Judy wouldn't hit, like so like Judy is definitely going to have mad targets, I feel like, but it's just that it's a less of a gamble to take 3,400 players that might get near the same amount of targets as Judy, and just in a great spot by far. Like Judy kind of plays in a slot, but out wide is where I've been seeing the most points been given up for Kansas City. And so Hinton probably has an advantage, and as well as Dolchich has a really good advantage. They give up points there too as well for Kansas City to tight ends and stuff. So I'm just got to say that if somehow this game is like they're getting blown out, Russell could have a garbage, touchdown game and stuff like that. And garbage points is still points for fantasy. It could possibly be his best game still. It is in play. It's just, we know it just hasn't really hit. Russell hasn't came through at all. But I just feel like I say, Pat Mahomes does show up every time. He shows every time he goes on the road against division. So, and this is going to be a tough one because we do know Broncos is 6th in completion percent. But it's like Pat Mahomes does have, one of the best tight end plays right here with Kelsey, and he always comes through in those hard, tough games like that. He does also have, Juju, here at 5,600. You got MVS at 4,100 there. Besides that, you got the Watson and things like that way down here. So Justin Watson and Moore, I think Moore barely had any targets last week. Yeah, didn't have any really, just rushed the ball. So, but yeah, Kelsey, Juju, I feel like those is probably where he's gonna go. So definitely if you wanted to try the Russell stack and run back with Kelsey, it's probably the easiest way to be able to actually get Kelsey because he probably could actually have a big game. If Pat does do well, I mean, I don't even mind doing this stack and taking Hinton, as a run back. Could really work out, like I said, because Pat Mahomes does show up on the road against his division all the time. So then we have here with the San Francisco 49er game, man. Lot of injuries, for Brock Purdy to have a good day throwing the ball. I feel that after seeing what Brady just did, just last weekend, you got to know that you got to score touchdowns. You have to continue to score touchdowns to put Brady out the game. If you're out there getting one touchdown and field goals the rest of the way, you're probably not beating Brady. He just continues to throw the ball. He's throwing the ball 50-something times a game. Probably one of the only quarterbacks that's doing that. Probably has the most 50 throws, and especially even 40-plus throws. So definitely I feel that he's, even Brady is somewhat is in play here, even against this tough defense. Just because he continues to throw the ball so many times, it gets yards and always has that potential of getting, 300-yard plus bonus. And then if he does that and throws 2 touchdowns, you're talking about 20-something fantasy points. For 5,600, that's perfect, for a tournament play. So, and then it's great to just kind of know, where he's throwing the ball. He's throwing the ball to his running backs. You look at White here, from the last 2 games, 8, 9, nearly 10 double-digit targets to White, at running back. You go to, Godwin, you're looking at 13 targets consistently. It's really not that hard to go to who he's throwing the ball to here. And the 49ers, even though their defense is actually tough, I know that the percent, when completion percent and things like that, it's really not that high. They're actually almost closer to the bottom than what people probably even think when it comes to completion percent, because they're in 19th spot. The Bucs is actually even a harder defense when it comes to completion percent, but each team gives up something pretty big. It's the 49ers are actually giving up yards, and it's you're going against a team that ends up throwing the ball 50 times. So the 300-yard bonus is actually there for Brady. It's all about his scoring. That's where the 49ers are actually really good. They don't usually allow you to score, red zone, stuff like that. And it sucks because Brady on the other side has those troubles right now, is scoring the ball. But on the other side, it's Brock Purdy. It's actually in a spot where the safeties, the safeties are out. He has everybody healthy. Everybody's healthy here, and has a whole bunch of players that I feel that, great yards after the catch. And McCaffrey and you got Debo, even somebody like Kittle. Ayuk is more kind of person that, deep threat type of play, which since both safeties is out, you got Ayuk in play then. But the thing is, even if they wanted to just dump the ball off the whole game, you have 3 players right here that he dumps the ball off, they create after the catch. You know what I'm saying? So yards after the catch, they're huge on. The thing is, though, yes, the yards aren't really usually there for against Tampa Bay. But the thing that is there against Tampa Bay is they're bad at touchdown percent. That's where they give up touchdowns. So if you're continually throwing the ball to these 3 weapons right here in this game, they're come on, man. McCaffrey, we already know. He's electrifying. He scores the ball. Debo's the same thing. Breaks tackles, takes it to the house. Kittle could do the exact same thing, especially if he's going down the middle where your two safeties are maybe two, paying attention to maybe a Uke or Debo, and then Kittle's wide open down the field. We saw, what do I want to say, Taysom Hill get down the field wide open because the safety didn't come over to help. So Purdy is actually in play, man, because of the fact that touchdown percent is so high, and that's what we're looking for. We're looking for a quarterback that's going to get the most touchdowns, period, when we play in these tournaments and stuff. So, and you're telling me for 5,100, possibly he's going to have to score possibly 3 touchdowns. And if he actually throws all 3, then Purdy's in play, y'all, like, to win a tournament. So, and it's a late game here and things like that. So somebody I feel like is definitely going to probably come out of that game there. Even rain or whatever, I feel like it's still a good game there. Then here we have Seattle and Carolina. Man, Geno has definitely been playing really good. Sam Darnold we don't really know. Completion percent here, though, let me see. What is it? We got, both are pretty bad. So both are, 21st and 22nd. So both could have a decent day throwing the ball. I feel that, let me look at. Looks like the yards, they're not really giving up, and touchdowns, they're really not giving up either for percent for the Carolina Panthers. Their defense is actually strong there, just completion percent. So I think Lockett will probably be in play, probably the best play there. And then it looks like for the Panther side, since we got 22nd completion percent, and then yards not really there, and touchdowns not really there either. So it's going to probably be a tough game here. I think the run game is probably where it's at. I actually think, if Walker was able to go and fully healthy, he would be a play. But also, I think Deontay Foreman on the other side there is a good play. And I don't mind, just because I do know Darnold loves to just throw them more. So, like, if completion percent is high, like, who knows, like, if he's going to get, maybe double-digit targets in this game, possibly, because they're going to need to score to beat Seattle since they've been playing so good. It's possible that if he gets double-digit targets, he might get 100 yards, in this game. Might just get a touchdown or something, too, as well. But we do know he is the main focus that they throw the ball to when Sam Darnold plays. So that would probably be one of the best plays, if not, like I said, the running backs on that side. So let's get into, man, how do we want to construct our lineup, man, to win this weekend. And I think I'm going to go with the easiest matchup with Trevor Lawrence, man, because it's just that there's just too many cornerbacks out here, man. I just feel that this might be the easiest stack here to make. Let's just go with these 2 right here, stacking with Trevor Lawrence. Let me see. So besides that, let's see. Who else did we say had cornerback issues like that, and probably was in a really great spot when it comes to getting the targets too to expose somebody? I know Dallas had, injuries there where it could have took Gallup. We have the Giants with Adoree Jackson out. And let's see. So I want to make sure I end up getting something late here, but I'm going to go ahead and take Dallas Cowboys defense. I just don't know how can I not take their defense. I think I'm going to go with Pollard, but I could also go with Zeke because I do know goal line, multiple times getting to the goal line, man. Zeke is probably getting the multiple, like, under 5 carries and things like that for touchdowns. Like, let me see, what's the touchdowns difference? 8 to, 10? Okay. So, man, it's crazy because, like, the yards are probably like the yards, and this maybe the 100-yard bonus is more in play with Pollard, so I'm gonna take Pollard just because of that reason. Just the multiple touchdowns does kind of lean to Zeke a little bit there. The next running back I think I want to take here, I'm thinking of value like White or Foreman. That's where I'm thinking about going, y'all. Like, just the targets that White has been getting, I kind of like that for 5,500. I almost thought about also taking Cook, though, if I wanted to get even a more savings there. But I'm going to go with White here. And then it looks like, who else can I go with that's probably in for a big, big game here for receivers? Looks like we got, who do I like? I think I have to have something from that Detroit game. Like, so I don't know if I want St. Brown or do I want to go to like DJ Chark. Could be a good little play there. Take DJ Chark. Now, I could even run back. That's kind of cool. Like, I do have the option to run back Jefferson if I want to. And that's like very contrarian because I know everybody's going to have, Hawkinson. And what would that leave me with, though, if I did that? 5,100 puts me right at Hawkinson. It's funny. Could have a double tight end play. I don't really mind that either. But let me see. If I don't take Jefferson, A.J. Brown is in a good spot when it comes to a cornerback being hurt. And that puts me at Debo. Kind of like that. Yeah, I actually like this. So, pretty good tournament play here. Because, like I said, A.J. Brown, cornerback issues there. DJ Chark, got to have something, I feel like, from that Minnesota-Detroit game. And we know the yards is there. If he can get, like, one-on-one coverage with Jamison Williams being there with St. Brown, probably has some one-on-one matchups there for him for deep shots. He was so close to actually having 100 yards last game. 2 yards short. So we can get that bonus there and maybe a touchdown, man. We're banking on a huge game there. The double stack with the Kirk, Evan Ingram, love that. Like I said, A.J. Brown with the cornerback issues there. Debo Samuel, man, I definitely feel like he can get the yards after catch and possibly maybe 2 touchdowns in this game. Really, like, it's definitely in play. Definitely feel like I have to have the Cowboys defense, man. Just the Houston Texans don't really have anybody. There's other good defenses and good spots too. It's just going to be hard. I think it's going to probably be a very chalky on defense, but possible 30 points like we seen the last week at least. And before that week, we saw 18 points to the defense against the Texans too as well. So that's it, man, for the, full strategy show, man. I hope y'all enjoyed that. It's your boy Jaystar. Stay tuned. I'll try to get y'all with the what we got Sunday night and Monday night football, showdowns. But it's your boy Jaystar and I'm out. Peace, y'all.